Well, today we're actually in a field of cut flowers grown right here in Oklahoma. We're at Bear Creek Farms and we're talking with the owner, Vicki Stanback. And Vicki, thank you for having us out here.
You bet.
Well, Vicki, now when you talk about growing flowers in Oklahoma, you're not growing roses and carnations, are you?
No, I specialize in specialty cut flowers, and a specialty cut flower is officially defined as anything that's not a rose, carnation, or chrysanthemum. Those are considered commodity crops.
Okay, so that really kind of leaves the field wide open then, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And I particularly like to concentrate on flowers that do not ship well, because that gives me a very specific market to go after. And it also lowers my competition a little bit. If I was concentrating on things that shipped really well, like glads or some of the things that you typically see at florists, I would be competing with Colombia, Florida, California, anyone in the world that can ship flowers, including Holland.
Wow, so you kind of have to find out what won't ship well and go with those.
Yes, I do grow things that ship well too, but you know, I really do better on the things that don't ship well.
Well, also, in addition to the shipping, you have to find stuff that'll grow here in Oklahoma. And what is working really well for you?
There are several things that, even in this heat and drought that we've had this summer, that do especially well for me. The celosia is always good. It loves the heat. Gomphrena loves the heat. The more heat, the better. Zinnias do especially well for me, and zinnias happen to be my #1 selling crop.
Wow.
And then sunflowers. I also do sunflowers. They are not as popular as they were several years ago, and they're not a particularly big money maker, but it's still nice to have them.
Well, you're talking about celosia. You've got some planted back here. Now, what kind is this?
This particular variety right here is called Chief Mix, and you can see all of the different colors that are included in the mix, from a bright fuchsia to an orange to red, gold, and even a pink, a pretty bright pink. And a bicolor also. The bicolor is yellow and pink together, and this is a very, very good seller, just because of all of the colors.
Now, do you have to vary planting times to keep getting a crop off of these?
The celosia is pretty nice because once you start picking it, you can make the first cut, and then a lot of times you have these side shoots that will come up from the plant that you cut, and it takes them a while to grow. A lot of times I will get 3 or 4 pickings off of one planting, but you know, you also want to stagger some plantings too, so that you always have some to cut. If you came in and cut the whole crop, then you'd have to wait several weeks before you could have another cut. And that's the advantage of doing the crop scheduling like that.
Now, how do you get all of this watered?
All of my 4 acres that I have planted in flowers is watered with drip irrigation, and all of my main lines are underground, and it's also on a timer. And then what I've used in every bed is this right here, and it's called T-tape, and it's very effective. It's a flat tape, but when the water's in it, it will swell up and be totally round, and every 8 inches there's a slit in it, and it's very effective for watering. The water goes right to the plant's roots. You have very little evaporation. And also with flowers, you don't want to get the foliage or the flower wet, because that just encourages disease problems. So this leaves everything on the ground, right where the plants need it, and it works very, very well. I've watered every day this summer in this heat, once a day, and if we have a particularly hot, like 108 and windy, I will water twice a day.
So it does take the water, but the flowers do look really nice.
Yes.
Now, in addition to flowers, you grow other things that can be used in arrangements?
Yes, I like to grow some different things just to give. I sell to florists and wholesalers are my primary market, and I like to grow some different things to offer them that maybe a typical wholesaler would not have, like grasses, native grasses. I also grow a native button liatris, and have about 1,500 corms of that out here, and then also an ornamental okra, and those are all very popular.
Well, can we go look at those?
Sure.
Great. Vicki, it's been a really good year for okra in the vegetable garden. It looks like yours is doing well too.
Yes, it loves the heat, definitely. So it makes it a fun crop.
Now, what part exactly do you use for an arrangement?
Well, what I like to do is I like to cut it fresh, and I've planted it really close so that I have stems that are a nice size to use for the florist. And I pick it like this, a nice long stem on it, and I'll snip all of the leaves off of it and the very top out and leave it about like that. And believe it or not, that's what they like to use. The leaves will just wilt and not look very good in a short amount of time. A lot of times too, if there's a blossom on the end, I will leave that because it will open and close for several days, and they can use that to their advantage too. But this lasts a long time.
That's neat, and it's just a fresh. You use it in the arrangement fresh.
I use it as a fresh, yes. It can also be dried very easily, but it's a nice fresh too, and that's what I like to concentrate on, the fresh flowers.
Oh, neat.
This is one of the grasses that I was telling you about that I really enjoy growing. This particular variety is sand love grass. It's a perennial. It's a very tough grass. You see it along the roadsides a lot, but I have it cultivated. In this particular summer that we've had, it would be pretty short along the roadside, so I water it to get nice long stems. I can get a 40-inch stem on this.
Wow.
And the florists really do like it for two reasons. One, it's a good substitute for baby's breath. A lot of florists put this in with roses, and it's beautiful. It works well for men's arrangements that need a little more masculine touch to them, and also good for fall arrangements.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Now, how would you know when to harvest this?
This particular one is in good shape right now, and if I took my hand and ran it up the plant like this and ended up with a handful of the grass in my hand, it would be too far gone. But right now it's doing fine, and it'll probably go on for about 2 to 3 more weeks, and then that'll be it for the season. It can be dried, but I use it fresh.
Oh, that's neat. Well, Vicki, you've got a nice operation going here. It looks like a lot of trial and error goes on.
It always takes research.
Oh, good.
To try new things and to see what works and what doesn't, especially in this Oklahoma weather.
You're right. Well, you've done a good job, and we really appreciate you showing us around today.
Sure. Thank you for coming. Come back anytime.